Now, you endorsed Governor Romney.
I did.
Are you in contact with him all the time?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys talk about?
Just general. I tell you what, he has a stance on China, which is a country that's just ripping our heart out. I mean, we just do nothing to protect ourselves, that I really like.
As a line of clothing. Now, where were these made?
These were made, I don't know where they were made, but they were made someplace. But they're great. It's ties, shirts, cufflinks, everything sold at Macy's, and they're doing great. #1 selling tie anywhere in the world.
Ties? Where are the ties
They
made?
have to work
These are
too.
beautiful ties.
They are great ties.
The ties are made in where? China? China. Ties are made in China.
That look on Donald Trump's face is worth 1 million gold-plated Midtown office hours. That is worth the price of whatever empathetic impulse you have toward your fellow human being, Donald Trump. Whatever price you pay in ghostly, empathetic shame, just for the pleasure of seeing his actual shame at having that issue resolved that way on national TV. You do not have to dislike Donald Trump as a person to be ineffably satisfied with seeing this lie of his unraveled, right? I mean, because it is a kind of lie implicitly to make it seem in one moment like you're the guy who'd be super tough on China in business terms and economic terms. You're the guy who would stop China from ripping America's heart out, while you are also the guy who is making his self-branded neckwear in China, right? That is a kind of lie. I mean, in polite circles, you might refer to that sort of moral pretzeling as hypocrisy. But if you just want to speak more bluntly and spare more syllables, it is a kind of lie. To portray yourself as bravely standing up for some particular thing when you don't particularly stand for that thing at all. The same thing happened last month, when Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney held a business roundtable in Bedford Heights, Ohio. He did it at a plant in that town called American Spring Wire. American Spring Wire bills itself as North America's largest manufacturer of valve and commercial quality sprint wire. They also make something called PC strand, which is pre-stressed concrete strand. At his visit to American Spring Wire, Mr. Romney hammered away at President Obama for not being tough on China. Not the way that he, Mitt Romney, would be tough on China. But the company Mr. Romney chose for his backdrop that day, the company that he chose to implicitly help him make that case, so happened to be a poster child for success by President Obama in getting tough on China. In 2009, in the first months of Mr. Obama's presidency, American Spring Wire joined with 2 other makers of steel wire to ask for help. They said China was unfairly dumping steel wire in the United States market at artificially low prices. They asked for help. Under President Obama, the Commerce Department said they would investigate, and then the Commerce Department did move to protect American Spring Wire. They did crack down on China for dumping their underpriced product, thus benefiting American Spring Wire in exactly the way they had asked to be benefited. They got the help they wanted. A company that was then used as a backdrop for Mitt Romney saying President Obama had not been tough on China. Today, Mr. Romney gave what his campaign billed as a major address on economic policy. This is part of his closing argument for the presidency. He delivered the speech at a company called Kinsler Construction Services. And in this speech, Mr. Romney argued that President Obama's stimulus had failed to help private companies.
A new stimulus 3 years after the recession officially ended, that may spare government, but it won't stimulate the private sector any better than did the stimulus of 4 years ago.
That's what Mitt Romney said today on the campaign trail at Kinsler Construction Services in Ames, Iowa. You know that blissful moment when you're waiting for the other shoe to drop? When you can see Dave Letterman scrutinizing the ties to look for the tag to see where it's made? You know you're in that moment right now? As noted at Think Progress today, Kinsler Construction Services benefited from almost $700,000 from the stimulus that Mr. Romney says did no good for any companies in the private sector. You can try to make the argument that the stimulus program did not help private businesses, even though the evidence shows the opposite is true. But when you're trying to make that false argument that the stimulus program didn't help any private businesses, as you are standing at a private business that the stimulus helped, that is a particular kind of implicit lie. And the rest of us can see that lie as it is unraveled in real time by reporting, even if you, the teller of that particular lie, do not seem chastened by the experience of being caught out, right? Here's another one. Mr. Romney spoke yesterday in the town of Defiance, Ohio. Part of why Ohio's economy has begun to bounce back is that we did not just let Detroit go bankrupt, as it were, right? The Obama administration bailed out the automotive industry, saved the industry, and it has roared back to life, and the big three are hiring again. Well, yesterday in Defiance, Ohio, Mitt Romney gave that Obama administration success story a little Mitt Romney-esque tickle.
I saw a story today that one of the great manufacturers in this state, Jeep, now owned by the Italians, is thinking of moving all production to China.
Wow. Mr. Romney saying, hey, don't get too comfy there, Ohio, with the Obama rescue of the automotive industry. I know it's been better. He saved everything here, and that's why you have jobs and everything. But don't get too comfy there, Ohio. I read that they're moving all the jobs working for Jeep. They're moving all the Jeep jobs to China. He said that in Ohio on the campaign trail 12 days before the election. And it is not true at all. The real Jeep news that day was actually that Chrysler announced it was adding 1,100 new jobs in the U.S. here, making Jeeps in Detroit, Jeep Grand Cherokees. And Chrysler says it could hire almost as many people for work at another plant in Warren, Michigan. In Ohio, Chrysler's investing $500 million in its Toledo plant and hiring 1,100 workers. But Mitt Romney got up yesterday in Defiance, Ohio, and says, he read somewhere that Jeep is moving all of its production jobs to China, all of them. That's ridiculous. What is he talking about? It's embarrassing for Mr. Romney, right? I mean, why on God's great campaign trail would Mitt Romney get up in front of 12,000 people in Ohio and tell them the auto bailout actually hasn't helped you at all? Your jobs making Jeeps are going to China. I read it somewhere. Where's this story he says he read somewhere? We found it. Here it is. He was apparently trolling the nether regions of the right-wing press. He found it on a Washington Examiner blog post, which reported, quote, Jeep, an Obama favorite, looks to shift production to China, a move that would crash the economy in towns like Toledo. Is this true? This is not true. This is a conservative blogger's misreading of a Bloomberg report that actually was reporting good news for Jeep. The Bloomberg report was that global demand for Jeeps has risen to the point where the company can sell more of them in China. And it wants to build Jeeps for China in China. This is good news for an American company, not bad news. They're not shipping any American jobs overseas. This doesn't mean less work for Americans. This means they're just they're expanding overseas. Thanks to the auto bailout that Mitt Romney opposed, Chrysler stuck around long enough to win again. Yay! Or as Mitt Romney put it,
Jeep, now owned by the Italians, is thinking of moving all production to China.
Look, I cover campaigns for a living, right? I understand that politicians inflate and conflate and duck and dodge and weave and even dissemble sometimes. That is not what Mitt Romney is up to here. Mitt Romney is just flat out lying to the voters of Ohio, and by extension to voters all across America, on the basis of something he happened to read in the right-wing blogosphere. His lie is embarrassing, frankly, and it should be unsettling for the rest of the world. I mean, imagine Mr. Romney waking up in the Lincoln bedroom or whatever, checking his conservative Twitter feed, and then just running with whatever he finds there. Hey, I read somewhere that Russia did a thing. And Mr. Romney is not wising up here. He made that same kind of mistake when he tried to say in the second debate that President Obama had not said the word terror when he talked about the Benghazi attack and the Rose Garden the day after the attack. The president had, in fact, used that word. But if you read the conservative blogosphere and the conservative blogosphere only, that never happened. And that apparently was enough of a fact check for Mitt Romney. That's what he read, so that's what he believed, so that's what he tried to use, and what turned out to be a humiliating gotcha attempt that failed before the